Hi, welcome to this next keynote about ConvertPlus2 and its features in detail. ConvertPlus2 is a Windows application that we at NEPATA developed a couple of years ago, and that still we are programming fully in-house today. So the software is basically customizable to the special requests of our customers. ConvertPlus2 is linking ERP system and online shops to NEPATA converting equipment in regards to handling orders for roll media to convert master roll material into the customer dimensions in terms of length and width. And to do this very precisely, avoid human error and save time, waste, etc. When we're talking about ConvertPlus2, we're not only referencing to a software license itself. If a customer decides to order his machine with ConvertPlus2, which more than 90% of our customers do, then we're talking about the complete system of a Windows PC, a touch display, a barcode gun, a label printer. So the whole system can be fully configured by us and also, of course, fully supported by us. So that's very important to keep you productive and up and running at all times. There are certain levels of integration between ConvertPlus and your ERP system or online shop. We're referencing as 3 different levels, and I want to give you a short overview of what these levels of integration are. The basic setup of ConvertPlus2 is a list of products, a so-called product database that you can see at the bottom right corner of the screen. This list comes from your ERP system, and it's simply a list of all products that can be converted at a converting machine, so basically roll media products. And mandatory fields are the product code and product description, but you might add more columns to this product table, like color, manufacturer, product series, roll width, etc. So you're free to choose more data to import into ConvertPlus2, and the more data you import, the more you can use for the data processing and also for the label printing, both for warehouse and customer labels. So starting from that list of products, the simplest way to create a converting job in ConvertPlus2 is to double-click on an item in that list and then configure it in terms of quantity and target length and also target unit. Here you can see that the standard mode is the roll mode, which you can switch over to sheet mode, so where only sheets are cut from a master roll. Then the next mode is a measurement mode, where the software does not care about quantity and target lengths here, but only measures this product and then gives you a label of the length of the roll after the measuring process. Then you have the label only job, where you can use a roll with the current length. For example, if you have a roll on stock with 10 meters and a customer orders a roll with 10 meters, you might not want to rewind this roll because you already know there's 10 meters on it, and so you only use the label printing job to create the corresponding customer label. Then you can put it on the roll and send it out. And then the last mode that we have is the splicing mode, which is only available in connection to a UA770 rewinder, so our narrow web rewinder with up to 77 centimeters or 30 inch. that's an optional mode if splicing of material is something that you want to do. So from master rolls where with defective parts or rolls that are too short, to splice them together to longer customer rolls with, of course, you have these splicing lines in it. So this is an optional feature. And then we also have this cut width section here in this preview window up right, where you can set slitting patterns for a job. For example, you use standard widths that can be defined by yourself, and in order to convert a material also in terms of its product ID, so starting from the master width of the original material, for example in our case here to cut it half and half, you will need other product IDs on the corresponding labels of these two rows. So this is what ConvertPlus does at this point. And also you can choose if an item will go out to a customer or will go back on stock. So that means that the green part of the row will receive a warehouse label now, and the orange part will receive a customer label. And what you also can do is you can configure custom widths to slit rows into, and then you will get corresponding number of labels with the corresponding content in order to put one label on each segment and then use the slitting head to slit the rows into the parts you need. So just to explain this upright window for the production queue preview. So we're still with this first level of integration, which is basically not really an integration with your ERP system, because you're simply selecting jobs manually and configuring them and then performing those jobs. The second level, which is the most common level among our customers, is to use printed delivery nodes or picking nodes, and from the side of your ERP system add certain codes to each line of those picking nodes. Could be 1D codes or 2D codes that contain the product ID and the target length of these items. And then the operator at the machine simply uses the barcode gun to scan those jobs into the system. So there's no need to edit the quantity and length and unit anymore, because this information comes directly from the picking node into ConvertPlus2. And then if this is how you work or how you will work in future, you can also add items from more than one picking node together to create one long list of a production queue, actually. So, and then at some point, if that list is configured like you want to proceed with actual converting, you can just send all these items down to the pending job queue. So this is level 1 and 2, and level 3 means a direct connection between ERP system and ConvertPlus2 by means of electronic picking nodes, so picking nodes that are being exported from your ERP system as text files and automatically imported from ConvertPlus2 from a certain folder on your network, on your system that you can define, and that ConvertPlus2 is using as a hot folder to get the data into not this product section that we are using now, but the orders section. I will clear that order section now so I can show you how we're doing this. So I will take 3 sample picking nodes. I'm going to show you how one of these looks like in Notepad. So this is a very simple setup of a data head with the ID of the picking node, and then customer name, customer number, date, order ID, and then followed by the actual items, 4 items with target length and target unit. And this is just a setup that we can use, but also if your ERP system requires a different kind of layout for these text-based picking nodes, then we can adapt our import structure to whatever you're requesting. So just tell us how you're able to create this text file, and we will adapt our software to properly import that data. So this is how these files look, and I'm going to copy them now and then send them to what I mentioned before as the hot folder, which is now on this local PC here, but also could be somewhere on the network. And I'm going to paste them into this folder, and what's happening that you see them for a short moment, and then in the next second they already appear here as imported delivery nodes in ConvertPlus2, and then you can open them and look for the contents. And here it's the system is like you're seeing at the very last column on the right side. You see use on UA machine, which means a use on a NEPATA machine. Yes means that this product code was found in the product database. So the software thinks that this is probably some raw media that can be actually converted on the machine. And all other items that do not match a product code in the local product database, they will be set to not or no use on UA machine because, for example, shipping cost or any other item like inks or tools, they are not being converted here. So they are not imported to the production queue when I press the import button now. So this is the way how these three levels of integration work with your ERP system. You also can, if you have a long list of delivery nodes here, you can also use another simple code on your picking node referencing to the ID of this picking node, and then once you scan this code, you can select this picking node from your list of picking nodes available. If that's a longer list, that's not easy to scroll through and find the corresponding picking nodes manually. This is very easy to do. So by now we already have a big production queue waiting now, and so the operator of the machine will pick a material now, load it onto the machine, and then he will find the master roll label here stating that this is product ID 5001 and so on and so forth, and then it's 11 meters left on this roll, and he will now scan the QR code on this label. Oh, I'm sorry. Then he will scan the QR code on this label, and then not only one line of material is confirmed of being this material being necessary for that job, but also a second line. That means that somewhere in these picking nodes that we have scanned into the job queue, there is this material a second time, and they will be stacked together now by the software. So you're doing the first 2 meter roll and then the 5 meter roll, and then you save time on not bringing this roll back to the warehouse and then bringing it to the machine again later, because you see that you need these 5 meters in the next picking node. Then at this point you have the possibility to either manually enter a lot number or to scan a lot number from the box of the original, the manufacturer's box of that roll of material. You can scan the lot number into the system, and you can set ConvertPlus2 also to force the operator to enter a lot number at this point. So in my setup here, it's just if I activate it here through that button, but it also can be a forced pop-up window that you have to enter the lot number to proceed. Once the lot number is in the system, which means that now if we do these two jobs here and we will get customer labels and warehouse labels from the printer, the lot number will be already part of the QR codes on these labels. So the next time we scan them, they will be already part of the data set without doing any extra pop-up window, data entry, whatever. And in case your label is configured that way, you can also print the lot number in text there. So in case your customer has a claim about a specific material, you can ask him now to give you that lot number for claiming the defect at the manufacturer end too. So this is how the lot number system works. Then looking above the pending job list, we will find the rewinding direction function where you can choose between 4 different ways of how to rewind the material from forward to forward, forward to backward, backward to forward, or backward to backward. And this mode number 4 could be interesting when you're rewinding, for example, something like application tape on the machine, which you need to rewind with the sticky side to the top, because it cannot stick to this feeding head here, but you need to reverse it to have the sticky side open. So usually you will use mode number 1, but for some special application or special kind of material, you might also need the other modes. Then we have this button here, which is a symbol for the light bar, which you can manually deactivate at this point. In the cross-cutting head, we have a light bar that is detecting the front edge of every material. And this works pretty good for opaque material and also for transparent material, because when the light bar is not detecting anything, the machine knows that the measuring wheel that's just next to the light bar here inside the cross-cutting head, the measuring wheel will be detecting the point of where the material edge is starting to move the wheel, which is not 100% as precise as if the light bar is actively working for opaque material, but still the operator does not have to worry about converting opaque and transparent material. It's just working anytime. But the thing is that with material that is mixed, transparent and opaque, for example, printed material where you have sections with ink and sections that are transparent, or with these see-through films that have these small holes inside, the system is confused about seeing something at the light bar and then again it's blocked. And so for this kind of material, you need to deactivate the light bar manually once, and it will reactivate itself after every single job. So you cannot forget about turning that feature on again, because normally you will work with light bar on. And then the next thing here, this button here, is about the manual feeding process. So normally you will feed material through the cross-cutting head like this. So this is the way how the front edge is referenced, and the material will be presented at the position to attach it to the paper core. But in case this is not possible because you have very difficult kind of material, you can use the manual insert option and then simply open the cross-cutting head, feed your material through to what you're used to is the correct attaching position, then close the cross-cutting head, attach your film to the paper core, and then start your actual rewind. And so the machine, by selecting this manual insert process here, the machine will know that it can start rewinding right away and not waiting for the material to be inserted. like shown. And also this feature reactivates the standard process again after every single job. Then here you have this lower bar, it stands for the master role. That's in our case now 11 meters long, because this is what we scanned into the system with our QR code just minutes ago. We can overrule that information now by setting it to something different. And in case we're using a new role that does not have a label to scan in the beginning, we will need to enter the standard length of the film here by, for example, 50 meters to proceed and then to receive proper labels after winding off those 2 meters and 5 meters. So in our case here, we will receive a 43-meter rest length label then after our 2 jobs. So the upper bar is the customer role, the target length 2 meters at the moment. Then next to those 2 bars, we have this printing label symbol here, where you can set the number of labels being printed after or for each job. For example, if you want to use 1 label for the customer role to close the role and a second label to put inside the core, so even if the role is gone finally, the customer still has the information what this kind of material was, the lot number, and where, for example, to reorder it, a telephone number or a website. Then you can just set the customer label number to 2, and then you always will receive 2 printouts. And the same here for the master role, for example, one label for the roll, 1 label for the box that you're going to put back on the shelf. Then you also can set it to 2 labels here. Then these printer symbols here will initiate a manual printout of the in this case, master role label, and in the upper button for customer label. This button here sets the label printing mode from quantity-based. So if quantity is 2 here, for example, and this item in the pending job list, then with this mode here, you will receive 2 labels, so 1 for every product you convert. In this case, only 1 label per job. So in case you're producing 100 sheets, you may not want 100 labels for that, but only 1 label for the complete job of 100 sheets. So this is what happens if you're selecting the option as shown here. And the third option is to deactivate the label printing totally. Then just a very short overview on the label editor. You will find the different layouts for master role labels and then customer role labels, depending on where these jobs are coming from, if they are from or imported order or from a local database order, or if they include slitting of a role. Then you have, for each of these labels, you can define your own layout with those lines of text. For every line of text, you can define font and size and things like that. You can define the position where on the label it should appear. And you can use all of these dynamic fields here at the bottom right corner, these gray buttons. And you can also add manual text to every line from your keyboard, which will show then as text on the labels. And then you have 2 lines for 2 different codes or barcodes. One is usually reserved for our own QR code that we need to run that whole system of scanning master roles and then creating the labels for the customer roles. And the second line is free to use for your own purpose, maybe for your dispatching department, you can create a barcode to confirm the scan of a roll you're sending out. And then another feature is that you can export the label also as a CSV file. So in case you don't want to create the actual label, because, for example, you have a different label printing system in your logistics, you can simply use that data to be exported as a CSV file to a certain folder, and then you can use this data as a trigger for some other label to be printed elsewhere. So this is just an option that you have. ConvertPlus2 also features a simple user management. You can set up user IDs, names, and also pictures for these users, which you can select then in this field here manually. There are also certain ways to configure the software to, for example, auto-log out users after every single job or after a certain amount of time, to force them to log into the system once they are starting a new picking node, for example, to make sure that you can track properly who did what with the machine. And all that data, like what was converted from which master roll and lot number and length you did convert, what into which length and width and by which user, etc. All that is stored in a standard log file that also can be put in any folder you want on your system. And our standard is that we create one file per day. So for the first job performed each single day, a new file is set up, and then every job will be inserted into that file as a new line. And we have a certain setup of data that's going into this log file, but we're totally free to change that according to your needs. So if you want a different system to work with that data afterwards, then you can just tell us where to put it and how to structure the data. And it's possible, and we did that with a couple of customers already, to use that kind of data to import converting data back into your ERP system. For example, to do stock movements about, we took a 20-meter roll and made 2 10-meter rolls out of it. So your online system, your online shop, or your sales staff will know in real time what you exactly have on stock for every kind of material. So this is all possible with the export side of ConvertPlus2, and we just need your requirements there, and we can do almost everything with that data that we need to. That's all for the overview of the features of ConvertPlus2 for today. Thank you for joining us for this keynote today. You will now have the chance to send us your questions by email or filling out that form on our live page or commenting on YouTube. We will be there to answer your questions now live for the next 15 minutes. And if you have special requests, you can get in contact with us anytime by telephone or email. Thank you for attending and for your interest in our products. Stay safe and goodbye.